Hello everyone, welcome back to the e-learning space of MGM Higher Secondary School, Bokaro. This is the second video for Unit 6, Section B of Class 8 English Main Course Book. Section B of Unit 6 is titled The Power of Determination, and it is written by the inspirational speaker Bert Dubin. In our first video on this lesson, we read the story and analyzed it. Let us go through the summary of the story once again. The Power of Determination is a true story about athlete Glenn Cunningham, who was horribly burned in a school house fire at the age of 8. Doctors predicted he would never walk again. Determined to walk, Glenn would throw himself off his wheelchair and pull his body across the yard and along a fence. So a little boy who lost the motor ability of the lower half of his body in a horrible accident never lost hope. Medical science had given up on him. He was not expected to survive. But through his power of determination, his sheer will, his resilience, and consistent effort, not only did he survive, but regained his motor abilities and became one of the fastest runners, a professional athlete in fact. His story is an inspiration for many. There's nothing that one cannot achieve if one gives into it with one's heart and soul. Here is the picture of Glenn Cunningham as an athlete with his Kansas jersey. Now let us come to the textual exercises about the passage. Read and understand. Answer these questions with reference to the context. He again heard the doctor and his mother speaking quietly. Who does he refer to? He refers to the young boy, Glenn Cunningham. What situation was he in? He was in the hospital after suffering major burns in a schoolhouse fire. Why were the doctor and his mother speaking quietly? The doctor and his mother were speaking quietly so that Glenn would not be able to hear the doctor delivering bad news to his mother, that he would be a cripple for the rest of his life. Second extract, once more, Glenn strengthened his resolve. When was the first time Glenn made a resolve? The first time Glenn made a resolve was right after he was brought to the hospital with the lower half of his body severely burned. He resolved that he was going to survive. What was his strengthened resolve the second time? His strengthened resolve the second time was that he would not be a cripple confined to a wheelchair. He would soon walk like he did before. What helped him to make this resolve? His bravery and determination helped him make this resolve. Answer these questions. What caused the accident at the school? Glenn Cunningham had the job of coming to school early each day so that he could use kerosene to start the fire and warm the room before his teacher and his classmates arrived. However, one cold morning, someone mistakenly filled the kerosene container he used with gasoline, which started a fire and burnt Glenn severely. Were the doctors hopeful of a recovery for Glenn? Why? So this question has two parts. No, the doctors were not hopeful of a recovery for Glenn because he was severely burnt, especially in the lower half of his body. The doctors had not expected him to survive the burns. How did Glenn progress to the point of being nicknamed the Kansas Flyer? Glenn, through his daily massages, iron persistence, and resolute determination, developed the ability first to stand up, then to walk haltingly with help, then to walk by himself, and then miraculously to run. He began to run to school and ran everywhere that he could. Later in college, Glenn made it to the track team where his tremendous determination paid off. He eventually received the nickname the Cancer Flyer. What three factors helped Glenn to achieve his goal? The three factors that helped Glenn achieve his goal were his iron persistence, resolute determination, and the daily massages. What distinction did he achieve in 1934? In February 1934, in New York City's famed Madison Square Garden, Glenn Cunningham ran the mile in 4 minutes and 8 seconds, the world's fastest indoor mile. Now here is a match the column given for you. Column A and column B, you have to match them accordingly. Glenn Cunningham was given the task of warming the school before the others arrived. The container was filled with gasoline. You can similarly match the rest. Now you have to frame a question for each of the statements you made in the previous question. Means in question number 6, the statements that you have formed, you have to then turn it into interrogative sentences. Coming to discuss and write, is it possible to develop a sense of determination as a young child? Of course. I believe determination, willpower, resolution, all these can be developed as a young child. In fact, it is more important to develop these things as a young child itself. What role do you think Glenn's parents played in helping him achieve his goals? Now, this is based on your understanding. In the story, the mother does not let the doctors amputate his legs even after the major burn accident. Why do you think so? It was because she never lost hope. She wanted the legs to be there no matter lifeless. And they were the ones, the parents of Glenn, that came home after being discharged from the hospital and never stopped massaging his legs. What does this show? This shows that they never gave up on him. They come to expand words, expressions with catch and hold. People tried to catch up with Glenn while he was running. Little Glenn Cunningham held on to his hope of being able to walk again. These expressions like catch up with someone means to try to reach somebody who is going faster. And the expression hold on to something means to keep something for your advantage. Now here is column A and column B. In column A, you will have similar expressions like to catch on to something, and the meaning is somewhere in column B. Match them. First one, let me help you out. To catch on to something means to understand or realize something. Second one, to catch somebody napping means to reveal that someone lacks knowledge or has done something wrong. Coming to exercise B, look at these expressions and use your dictionary to find the meanings. Now in the first exercise, the meanings were already given. You have just matched them in with the expressions. In the second one, you have to find the meaning. This has to be done in your English classroom copies. Coming to say it right. Well-paced reading or speaking with the right pauses is an important aspect of language. An Arabian proverb which contains a lot of meaning reads as follows. Who knows not and knows not that he knows not is foolish. Shun him. Who knows not and knows that he knows not is humble. Teach him. Who knows but knows that he knows is asleep. Wake him. Who knows and knows that there is more to know is wise. Follow him. So this is something worth pondering upon. Read carefully with the punctuations given. Read it once more and then understand it better. Not easy to understand, pausing at the wrong time or the right time, listener loses or keeps interest, monotone or varied tone. These are different ways of reading. Now coming to the grammar part. You know what are direct and indirect speech? Yes. We have studied about reported speech. There are two ways of reporting a speech, direct and indirect. When we report the speech in exact words within quotation marks, it is called direct speech. I will walk again, said little Glenn. See the second statement. Little Glenn said that he would walk again. Mark the difference. The meaning is the same here, but the way it has been reported is different. We have already discussed reported speech in our grammar video. This is just a recap for you and a practice exercise. So when we are changing or interchanging the format of a speech from direct to indirect or vice versa, we keep in mind the tense, we keep in mind the verb, we also keep in mind the modals. We also keep in mind that the pronouns must change and expressions like today, tomorrow, yesterday, next week also change accordingly. So take turns to read these sentences. Your partner will say the sentence in indirect speech by using the correct reporting verb from the box. So right now what we are going to do is read sentence 1. For example, Sairaj said to his mother, stop chewing your nails. What you have to do is you have to change it. Whatever is, if it is indirect, you will change it into indirect. So we can say Sairaj ordered his brother to stop chewing his nails. We can use the word ordered from the box given above. See the second one. I just said to her, remember to pack the woolens. I just reminded her to pack the woolens. Ritwik said, I'm entirely responsible for what has happened. We can write this as Ritwik admitted that he was entirely responsible for what had happened. Accordingly, based on your previous knowledge of the lesson reported speech, you're going to do this exercise in your copies. Coming to exercise C. Now here is a small dialogue interchange between Pankaj and Mohsin. You have to change it into indirect speech. After a long time, it is nice and cold. I love to feel cold, so I can enjoy a hot cup of tea. I can stay all night without anything to warm me. This is a speech by Pankaj, so we can write it in indirect speech as Pankaj said that it was nice and cold after a long time. He loved to feel cold so that he could enjoy a hot cup of tea. He could stay the whole night without anything to warm him. The second dialogue of Mohsin, that is to be done by you. Coming to exercise D, change this paragraph into direct speech. So Pankaj said that was too easy. He said that it did not sound like a challenge at all. Atul added one condition. He said that Pankaj should not run away from there or light a fire to warm himself. If he did, then he would have to treat them all to dinner. Pankaj agreed and said that he was going to the village square right then. Now here is a dialogue between three people, Pankaj, Atul and Pankaj. And earlier Mohsin was also there. Now based on this, you have to write a direct speech. For example, let me help you with the speech of Pankaj. Pankaj is name is already written, the blank provided here for you. This is too easy. It does not sound like a challenge at all. So you will frame the direct speech for Atul and the successive speeches for Pankaj. Now come to this time to write formal letter seeking action. You already know what is a letter, what are the different types of letter, formal and informal. We have also discussed letter writing in a separate video. Here is a question for you and some guidelines to write a formal letter. The sender's address, date, receiver's name, designation, address. So what you have to do is write a formal letter to the bank manager asking him to make provision for a ramp along the stairs. What is a ramp? As you all know, people with special abilities or people who do not have a proper functioning of their hind limbs and they cannot walk on their own, they need wheelchairs, and wheelchairs cannot be moved easily on the stairs. It needs a ramp, an inclined plane to move. Hence, here is a letter to the bank manager that you have to write in order to get installed a ramp along with the stairs. This you can do in your English copies. Now, a high order thinking question for you. The title of the passage, The Power of Determination, is appropriate. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Justify your response. In our online sessions, children, we have already discussed whenever we begin reading a story or a poem, we first focus on the title. How appropriate is the title of the lesson? Does it justify the story that you have read? If yes, support it with your answer. Now here are the assignments from the lesson. Read the lesson and mark the tough words. Learn the word meanings. Complete the textual exercises in the textbook. We have already discussed all the exercises in this video. Do exercise B given on page 124 in your English copies. And do exercises B and C given on page 126 in your English copies again. Write the formal letter given on page 127 in your English copies, and based on your understanding of the lesson, give a pictorial representation of the chapter and color it. This brings us to the end of our video lesson, children. Thank you and take care.